Alright, well, I've been seeing a lot of questions on how to lift these Panther chassis cars, so we're going to shed a little information on that. Um, this is going to be mostly for '03 and up cars. The information in the rear will fit the older models, but the front information is going to be '03 and up only. Unfortunately, I don't have any experience with the older suspension, so I don't really have any suggestions for you there. But on these, really simple. Hit up Universal Car Lifts or liftabrand.com and pick up one of their spacer lift kits. What that's going to do is you're going to get a spacer that goes on the top of the strut here and bolts on the top of the strut and in between this K member. That's going to give you some lift. With that, though, you're going to start running into issues binding with the control arm on the spring, especially under droop. To get past that, one of the easiest ways I've found so far, because good extended aftermarket control arms just don't really exist currently, is to take the upper control arms and flip them. Go driver side to passenger, passenger to driver. Also flip them upside down and press the ball joints in. You'll have to mill a slight flat spot for the ball joint to press in, but it's really nothing that you can't accomplish with a grinder in 10-20 minutes. It's no big deal. If you have the aluminum control arm, the lower control arm there, I would highly suggest switching that out for a steel unit because it is quite a bit stronger, and we have actually broke these out on the trail before. And other than that, I mean, the suspension part of the front end at that point is done. Personally, I don't, on my cars, I don't run sway bars. Some people do. It's just going to depend on what your actual uses of the car are. Be aware, if you do run sway bars, you are going to have issues with it contacting your ABS sensors, so you're going to have to figure out something there. And then, like I said, you'll have to do whatever necessary clearancing to your fenders, depending on your tire size. General tire size that guys are running are between a 29-inch tall and a 32-inch tall tire. I personally run a 32-inch tall tire, so I had to cut quite a bit out. With those larger size tires, you're going to start running into issues of hitting right here in this section when you get closer to full lock. It's not that big of a deal, because I know that looks like the actual frame, but if you take a look underneath, the actual frame goes behind it and is fully boxed in, and that's just a support for the body mount. So what you can do is basically all along right here, take this grind out, or this weld out, and cut across here, all the way across, and then down back, and then plate that back in right there. Then you'll have plenty of clearance to fully go lock to lock on 32s, even under suspension compression. And before anybody tries to tell me that's dangerous, this car's been jumped. It's gone through Hoopty X races, multiple bashings on the trail, mudding, daily driving, you name it, it's done it. Haven't had any issues. You might actually be able to see my cuts. This car's really dirty, but yeah. See, it's just cut out all right there and leaves a nice little open area. Chopped out fenders. You're gonna have to cut quite a bit from the back here. I personally also rolled and pulled my fenders for the nice touch. You'll have to cut quite a bit of the body and fenders out if you're running an aggressive tire size like I am. Now for the rear, you can also run the Lifta brand or Universal Car Lift spacers, spring cup spacers with OEM springs, which is what I'm currently using right now. I will be trying out using just these springs. These are from a 2002 Expedition, so these will be replacing the OEM springs and the cup spacers, and this should put me right at about the same amount of lift. It's going to be a bit stiffer of a spring, so it's a good option for guys that want to do some towing, carry around a lot of tools, or they got other necessary junk in the trunk and they send it quite hard. So we're going to be doing some testing to see what spring rates I personally prefer. Now for shocks, the kit that they'll send you comes with some shock extensions, and basically all it is some thread all with some cufflinks. Jank as fuck, don't run it. Love yourself more than that. Go to O'Reilly's, AutoZone, whatever your auto parts store of choice is, and order you some shocks, some rear shocks from like a 99 through 2003-ish F-150, somewhere in there. Basically, you want a 10-inch travel shock that is about 16 to 17 inches when collapsed and about 27 inches when extended, with a eyelet on the bottom and a stem mount on the top. The front shocks of a Jeep JK are also this style, so do some checking with the links and you should be able to find some Jeep shocks that would also work. Personally, I balled out a little bit and I ordered these Fox shocks through AccuTune Off-Road, and they helped me get the valving set up specifically for a Crown Vic and the type of driving I had in mind. And while expensive, easily one of the best mods I've ever done. Handle great, they take a shitload of abuse, and they just keep ticking. So if they're in your budget, I highly, highly recommend looking into those. Other than that, it's just, other than that, you're basically lifted. Then it's just doing little parts to make it work better for your needs. So personally, I run 410 gears. It's a nice mix between highway driving. I can do 75 on the highway at 2,500 RPM, no issue. I can also rip up hills and get through mud pretty easily. I was running a Spartan locker. It didn't quite like Hoopty X racing and on and off throttle transitions, and I ended up stripping it. So I am currently welded up. I still feel that a Spartan locker or an Aussie locker would be the perfect combination for the vast majority of lifted Panthers, because honestly, it got me down a lot of Jeep trails and was pretty good mannered on for city driving. It just didn't quite like being a rally race car. And other than that, I picked up some double adjustable trailing arms and Watts links. And that's another issue, is when you lift, your Watts link's going to start binding up. And the bushings are going to have a lot of flex with the stock arms. So you're going to feel a lot of wobbleness in the back end. It's not terrible, but it's there. With those stiffer arms and stiffer bushings, that helps eliminate a lot of that. And now the rear end feels a ton more planted. It tracks nice and straight, as well as I gained about 2 inches more of droop. So I now need to set up some limiting straps and lengthen the drive shaft. It's another thing. Once you start getting to a lot of travel like this is about the territory where you start running into issues with your drive shaft being too short. But a basic 3-inch lift with mild off-roading, you're not going to have a worry. Any other questions that you can think of, man, shoot me a message. I'll let you know.